Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage on this Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. We have a lot to talk about in today's video, including a storm system bringing severe weather across the country, unseasonably warm temperatures this week, and we have a big tropical weather signal at the end of the video in the Caribbean and the Gulf that we will be tracking. So make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. We're quickly approaching 100,000 subscribers, and if you can subscribe down below, you'll get even closer to that goal. Make sure to press the like button down below, the thumbs up button, especially if you do enjoy today's weather forecast. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll always get to those after the video. So here is your height anomaly map that we do show typically several times a week, and you can see we have a big trough across portions of the west, and this is bringing more unsettled conditions but also cooler weather across the western United States. We have a high pressure ridge across southeastern and eastern Canada and the upper Midwest. That's bringing us drier weather and unseasonably warm temperatures for this time of year, and a little bit of some lower pressure underneath across the southeast. So let's break it down for you this afternoon. High temperatures are going to be unseasonably warm, well into the 80s and the 90s across the middle of the country. So bracing up for more of those July and August type temperatures here in September, and then more of that October weather across the west with more of those cooler temperatures with that trough coming in. And that's going to continue through the week. We're going to have that trough bringing in those unseasonably cool temperatures to the west into California, Nevada, Utah, and Arizona and surrounding states. And then we're going to have the high pressure ridge from Canada keeping a lot of eastern Canada in play with the unseasonably warm temperatures. Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec going to be possibly up to 30 degrees above average. And then across the central U.S., all the way down to the Red River Valley in North Texas, that's where we're going to see unseasonably warm temperatures. So let's look at tomorrow afternoon. We're back in the low mid 90s down here from portions of Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri on southward, maybe a couple areas approaching 100 degrees. And then by the end of the week, the heat peaks on Friday, and you can see some high temperatures without heat indexes that are actually over 100 degrees, like Wichita, Kansas at 101, approaching 100 there in both Tulsa, Oklahoma City at 98, 99 degrees respectively, and 100 degrees in the Wichita Falls, Texas region Friday afternoon. So make sure to stay hydrated out there. The good news with this trough, though, is that it's going to be producing some beneficial moisture and rainfall across portions of the Pacific Northwest and the Rockies, areas that desperately need the rain here with the significant drought ongoing. Unfortunately, some of that could be leading to severe weather. We do have a level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk of severe weather from the panhandle here of Nebraska into northeast Colorado today, with that general slight risk from Canada all the way south towards portions of the northwest Texas panhandle and northeastern New Mexico today. That'll shift east, very narrow area with level 1 out of 5 marginal risk tomorrow from Canada all the way down here into the Texas panhandle. And then on Thursday, places like the Twin Cities up here in Minneapolis, St. Paul, maybe into Fort Dodge, Iowa, we have a marginal slight risk of severe weather on Thursday. So this system is going to be producing beneficial rains, but at the same time producing those strong to severe storms. So here we go today, 995 millibar low. And if you guys don't know, a strong low pressure system is typically sub 1,000 millibars. So the lower the number, the stronger the pressure, and it's down to 995 millibars. You got very strong winds on the backside, but we also have some heavier rainfall as well. And then you can see that system occluding, and as it strengthens to a 989 millibars up there in eastern Montana. Cold front attached with it. Probably not widespread severe weather Wednesday. That's why it's a very narrow area, but a couple isolated strong severe storms will be possible in the plains. And then as we go into Thursday, again, isolated scattered coverage of severe weather as we go into Thursday. And Friday looks like a transition day, and it'll be mostly quiet across the lower 48 with all of the moisture mostly up into southern Canada. The moisture over here into the east is more tropical influence off of the Carolinas and into Virginia and the Maryland region. We could be seeing another couple inches of rainfall through your Saturday, September 21st. Flash flooding is possible, but isolated. in these areas. But as the country is as a whole, it looks like most of us will see at least some moisture. But unfortunately, if you live in the Northeast, if you live in the Ohio Valley or the Southern Plains, Dixie Alley region, or even out west, a lot of these areas will be sparse with moisture as we go through the week. The heaviest up in southern Canada, down into Montana, some moisture in the upper Midwest, and then that tropical influence we just mentioned over here in the mid-Atlantic. Let's look at the drought monitor that was released this past Thursday. Yes, we need big help here in the United States from the drought. We really need the moisture here across the lower 48. Several areas, at least moderate, severe drought. In those tan and orange shaded colors and the red, maroon reds, those are extreme, exceptional drought areas, and we see that pretty widespread in western Montana, for example, northeastern Wyoming, another area in West Texas, another area in Ohio, and West Virginia. So we need a lot of work done on this drought, so hopefully we can get that moisture. The weekend comes along and we have a transition period, a little bit of a trough up here into southern Canada, grazing the international border between Canada and the United States. Another trough down here into the desert southwest across the Four Corners region. Otherwise, a ridge will continue to dominate across the eastern United States. And as that ridge dominates, we're going to see above normal temperatures. Again, unseasonably warm from southeastern Canada, Ontario, Quebec, through the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley region, all the way down here toward the Red River Valley, southern plains of Oklahoma and Texas. A little bit cooler across the west, the Rockies, and across the western U.S. in general. So here are your high temperatures Saturday afternoon. It'll be a warm one, unseasonably warm in the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, approaching 90 in a few spots, into the 90s, mid and upper 90s across the Red River Valley, southern plains, so Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana. We're going to get pretty warm there on Saturday. Much cooler, though, to the north. So if you live in the Dakotas, enjoy the nice cool weather. 60s for highs there Saturday. And if that's not enough, we'll barely get into the 60s up there on Sunday afternoon. And that cooler air will be pushing into areas like Chicago and Milwaukee and Des Moines, even Indianapolis, getting into the 70s for Sunday afternoon. Open up those windows this weekend. Looking at precipitation prospects during the weekend, that low pressure system in Manitoba may be enough to produce some influence of some showers and storms across the mid-Missouri Valley as we go into Saturday. And that'll kind of stall out with a boundary across the Central Plains from the Front Range of the Rockies. And by the way, we could actually have some flurry and snow shower activity in the higher elevations outside of Denver on Sunday afternoon and evening. And then all rain, all liquid precipitation further east into Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, parts of the Illinois Valley, and over here toward the Indiana and Ohio region as well on Sunday. And that will be adding up. We need the rainfall here in these areas too, and we could be seeing 1 to 3 inches worth of rainfall here this weekend. And again, this could not come at a better time. We really need some moisture in this part of the country as well. So we're going to get that as we go into the weekend. Turning to the tropical weather update, a lot of interesting things happening here. The National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida is watching here, still post Tropical Cyclone Gordon, which is really nothing anymore, and it's very quiet right now. No areas highlighted in the North Atlantic Ocean, but why I think that's going to change, and one of the recipes for that is very warm water temperatures. So as we continue to see some of these tropical waves traverse the main development region from the African coast westward into the Caribbean and the Gulf and maybe the Western Atlantic, and it's going to be encountering a very favorable thermodynamic environment in those sea surface temperatures well into the 80s, approaching 90 degrees Fahrenheit, especially the warmest over here in the Western Caribbean. And why we are so concerned about that, as we have some tropical waves moving across the main development region toward the Caribbean, a lot of weather models, not only just computer models that are operational, but also the ensemble models as well, are picking up on this idea that the Western Caribbean, the Gulf, we need to be on high alert early next week towards the last week in September. Here's the Euro model showing a little bit of some lowering of the pressures near the Yucatan early next week. GFS model is showing a very similar solution. The GEM model, this is your Canadian model guidance, showing a pretty strong tropical storm early next week in the Western Caribbean, for example. The ICON model showing that near the Yucatan as well. And if that's not enough, the ensembles are showing it too. So you can see the EPS ensembles are highlighting that area near Cuba, Jamaica, over here toward the Yucatan. The GEFS ensemble models are showing it as well. And the GEPS ensemble is screaming this as well. So there is tons of support for a major tropical system that could develop here somewhere in the Caribbean, more likely the Western Caribbean near the Yucatan or Cuba or Jamaica, and then moving toward the Gulf of Mexico early to middle portion of next week. And the experts over there at the Climate Prediction Center are also forecasting that to occur across the Western Caribbean and near the Yucatan and the southern Gulf of Mexico during that last week of September and leading up to October 1st. There is a favorable environment there, and that could actually lead into the Eastern Pacific Basin as well. So things are going to turn more active here, and we'll be tracking you for you right here on this channel. Make sure to subscribe to the channel down below for the latest weather information right at your fingertips. Whether it's a video, a live stream, you get that. Turn on all post notifications for any videos, live streams. Make sure to like the video down below by giving it a thumbs up, especially if you liked it, obviously. And then make sure to leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll get to those after the video, and I hope everyone has a wonderful and terrific rest of their Tuesday out there.